Warning. This video contains words that are outlawed. For your safety, the loving and caring communists of Canada have deleted all forbidden words. All hail, glorious leader Justin Castro, praise and blessings be on his name.
Okay, welcome back. Hour number 3, Russian leadership today issued a follow-up statement to President Putin's yesterday in a news brief video in which he warned that if the U.S. and the U.K. authorize, and I should say that the U.K. has already formally authorized Ukraine to pursue long-range strikes on Russian soil, then NATO and the Russian Federation will be in an official, full state of war. Get it? It sounds like the red line games are over. On Friday, today, Russia's ambassador to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenzia, informed the UN Security Council that NATO countries would start an open war in allowing Western long-range missiles to target Russia. If such a decision is made, he said, that means NATO countries are starting an open war against Russia. In that case, we will obviously be forced to make certain decisions with all the attendant consequences for Western aggressors. So this is not a good situation. That was shortly thereafter followed up with a word from China that, quote, China will militarily support Russia if NATO attacks Russia by okaying Ukraine's use of long-range missiles, cruise missiles primarily, to hit deep inside Russia. So that was the first update, and there'll be more. So maybe, again, the days of red lines is finally over, and Russia will get serious. There was a report from Hal Turner of an explosion east of the Bremerton Naval Facility in Washington State. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, it went off, I think it was about 2,300 feet above ground. Now, there are mountains that high in the area of the explosion. Nobody knows what it was. Nobody's talking about what it was. I guarantee you we know what it was. We have radar that doesn't miss a thing, but nobody's saying much. There was an explosion in the air, and a bomb-type explosion, not a nuclear weapon, but it didn't hit the ground. It went off in the air. Was that a warning? Did a Russian submarine launch a cruise missile off the west coast? Maybe. Maybe not. Don't know what it was. But let's find out how things are up in Toronto, the greater Toronto area, actually outside of Toronto, with our friend Stefan Verstappen, who has put together a community of wonderful people up there who are truly dedicated to being prepared if things hit the fan. And they look very much like they are. Hello, Stefan. Welcome back.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me back.
Always a pleasure. How do I get you to send me my war-beating, war-ending, deadly cane? I've got to get you some money to ship that thing down here if you still have it. I need to be prepared.
I still have it.
I want my cane.
Yes, I still have it.
All right.
Yeah,
Let me know how much it is. I'll get you the money.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's just hanging on the door handle by the closet.
Good. All right.
So,
well, no Haitians are attached to it, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
But you never know. It's got a hook on it if I start running down the street.
That Haitian thing is getting worse. By the way, worse.
Oh my God! But what did people expect? I mean, it's bad enough they brought the Somalians in by the millions
with their 45 IQs.
I was just going to say that. We know that the average IQ in Africa is between 65 and 70.
Yeah.
But the Somalians are the idiots of Africa.
No,
so
they're way down
they have
there.
even lower IQs, and bringing in Haitians, oh my God. I mean, this is absolute madness. this. You know, I grew up in a black neighborhood. It didn't start out that way. It was 100% white.
Right.
And then they started building, you know, housing projects.
Oh, those big tenement blocks. I know what you're saying.
Yep.
Put those in. Now, here, let me say one other thing about the Haitian issue. A couple things. Again, I mentioned this before. I've been doing some research and reading about Haiti and Haitians and people who have gone down there and tried to help them. They are so stupid. I'm sorry. That's just a fact. They are so intellectually incompetent that they don't understand the concept of lining up in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It doesn't register in their heads. A, B, C, D. It doesn't matter. They can't understand the concept of lining up in order. Now, that added to Santeria, which is voodoo, witchcraft, and all the rest of it, the simple fact that cannibalism is practiced there, and the U.S. Coast Guard has been ordered by the Biden-Harris regime to not prevent cannibal Haitians from coming into this country. And 3, the simple fact that Springfield, Ohio, a city of 60,000 people, had 20,000 of these fifth world. They should not be anywhere near a first world country. They're not going to adapt. You can't confer or bestow intellectual competence on people. They either have it or they don't. So anyway, where is the outrage? I know the people in Springfield are furious, but where's the national outrage? This is, again, an invasion of the U.S. with some of the worst types of human beings on the planet. Not to mention the fact that Venezuela emptied its prisons of all of its killers and sent them up here, too. The regime in Washington, you're not down here, but you're close enough, is absolutely dedicated to the destruction of what used to be the United States of America. Go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what didn't you learn from the Cuban boat crisis back in the 80s? Remember that?
Right. Oh, the Mariel, yes, boat lift, they called it.
The Mariel, yeah. And what did Cuba do? Empty out their insane asylums and their prisons.
Flush the toilet.
And sent them all to Miami.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I have had a very bad opinion of Haiti for a long time. When I was younger, I read the book by Graham Greene. I'm sure you know the book I'm talking about.
Yeah. That's a fascinating story, actually. It is.
Yeah. Well, it scared the shit out of me. After reading that book, I said, I will never go to a black country. You know, they had the thugs there. They called it the Tonton Macoute. Anyways,
Tonton Macoute. That's right.
You cannot scrape the barrel any lower.
No, you're Haitians. Through the bottom. You're through.
Yep. I mean, Somalians, bad enough. What is it? They got it all up here. It's just on the other side of Lake Huron from where I am. What is it, Minnesota? Yeah, Minnesota. Where the
Ohio.
How many? 10?
Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about the Somalians.
Oh, the Somalis? Yeah, they got 200,000 in Minnesota? I think it's Minneapolis, if I'm not mistaken. It's huge. Yep. 200,000 plus of these third world people who do not like whites. They do not like America. They have no interest in learning anything much. I'm sure there are a handful of exceptions. All right, we get that. That's a given. But most, all 98% of them, they want to tear this all down. And the sad thing is, Stefan, none of them are being given the COVID vax. It should tell you a lot right there. They're supposed to survive us. That's the game.
Yeah. No, it's I don't know why America hasn't taken torches and pitchforks to the White House. This is ridiculous. We're just
they don't have it
over. You
anymore.
know what really?
Americans don't have it anymore.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been a martial arts instructor for 45 years. And I wrote a book on the way of the warrior because I wanted to try and teach people, and especially young men, how to be a warrior, how to stand up for yourself.
Well, you're teaching alpha male behavior. That's been bred out of many people. No more alpha.
Yeah.
Alpha males don't exist.
Really
They're very hard to find.
I know. Real men, yeah, good luck. I was a little bit upset when that father of the 10-year-old boy that killed.
You're breaking up a little bit, Stefan. Say that again. You were a little upset when the father of that 10-year-old boy. Go on from there.
That was killed.
Okay, we got that was killed, or who was killed, and that was it. You dropped out again. If this keeps up, we'll have to have Todd reconnect. Can you hear me? All right, you're breaking up. Todd, let's go ahead and Stefan, hang up. Todd will call you right back.
Yep.
Let's get another line here.
Okay.
I don't like this. All right, very good. Okay, seriously, look, I'm not a racist of any sort, any stripe, any color. It doesn't matter to me. Facts are facts. I just deal with reality. You either have to decide that facts matter and stop the political fear of standing up for truth, or you're going to be done. And I'd rather not see that happen. But these people don't belong here. I don't care what color they are. They just don't fit. You cannot put a size 7 foot in a size 5 shoe. It won't work. Never has, never will. So that's what we're dealing with here. And these poor people in Springfield, I hope to hell they do something. I don't know what they can do, but this is outrageous. All right, Stefan. Father and a young 10-year-old boy,
I tried
you're
something
good.
else tonight to see if we could fix the problem, but I'm a targeted individual. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It only happens when I call you.
Okay. Well, I'm not surprised. Go ahead.
So
you sound fine
saying,
now. Yeah.
When the father of that 10-year-old boy that was killed by a Haitian driver hitting the school bus, because they can't drive. They got an IQ of 45. They don't know how to operate a vehicle. And then he gets up there and he says, I wish my son was killed by a white man. Did you see that?
Well, I think wasn't it the white father that said that about the Haitian black? I wish his son would be killed by a white man. Wasn't that the way it went? Did I have it wrong?
No.
Tell me what I got wrong. What do I have?
What you got wrong was he was saying that he's so upset about all the hatred being directed at Haitians that he doesn't want his son's death to promote hatred against immigrants, and so he wishes that his son had been killed by a white man.
I got it. Very good. Thanks for straightening that out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. What is the matter with us? What's the matter with our people? Your son, your 10-year-old son, gets killed by a Haitian, and you get up and you make this grandiose speech, virtue signaling, that you wish your son was killed by a white man. Okay, that's enough now.
That's putrid. Now, I don't understand, Stefan, is this. What happened to the idea of an eye for an eye? I don't know what happened to Americans. They have no ability to stand up and do anything. I am not espousing, promoting, or endorsing vigilanteism. However, if someone were to kill my children, let's say I had a family, I swear to God I would go after them. I would take them out. I would even the score, and I think many of you listening, wherever you are, would feel the same way. But there's no evidence of vigilante justice in this country anymore. And I'm not, again, endorsing it. I'm just saying I'm watching, and I'm listening, and I'm not seeing it. And I'm surprised. And that goes along with all those who give injections of that death bioweapon to little 1- and 2-year-old children. You're killing children. Come on, what the hell? I just don't get it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't understand either, Jeff. I think it's a combination of things. It's the mind control, it's the media, it's the chemtrails, it's the vaccines, it's the fluoride in the water, it's the poison in the food.
You're correct. You're totally correct. Yeah.
It's a full spectrum attack on our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. And then, ever since they got rid of the Boy Scouts, there's been a war on masculinity. Oh, I'll give you a story from up here. Here we go, okay? Canada is the king of gun laws. There was a 58-year-old grandmother here nearby in Simcoe County, which is about an hour's drive from me. She was arrested for assault with a weapon because she was in the backyard playing with the kids, and they had squirt guns, water guns.
Yeah.
And one of the neighbors, who, from what I read afterwards, was one of those total jerks that phoned the police every time a kid stepped on his front lawn, he accidentally got squirted by this grandmother, 58 years old. He called the cops, and the cops charged her with assault with a weapon. Like a squirt gun is a weapon. And, the potential prison sentence for that is 10 years. Of course, she's not going to get that. This whole thing is ridiculous. But the fact that the police charged her, are you kidding me? Are you effing kidding me? It's a squirt gun. So there you go. Okay, that's the war on masculinity, but the war on squirt guns. It just keeps getting crazier, Jeff. Unless we all come together and do something, people. And I'm preaching to the choir with your audience, because your audience is probably the best informed audience in the world. They listen to you, so they know what's going on. I'm not telling them anything new, but we need to really work together.
They're the best.
Yeah, they are the best. They are. So that's one example. Well, they're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. That's old news here. 7 years ago, when I was still living in Toronto, I lived close to the lakeshore called Etobicoke, and near the Humber River. And just as the river empties into the lake, there's lots of parks and gardens and bike trails. Beautiful area. They really did a nice job of it. Well, the immigrants were already killing geese then. And people were posting it on social media, on Facebook. We were at the park with our kids, and we saw the immigrants beat to death a Canadian goose in the park, and then they skinned it and cooked it on the campfire in the park. All the children around were horrified.
Well, you can't mix fourth world and first world. It will never happen. Won't work.
It will never work, but that's why they're bringing them in here, because it's part of the whole plan. That's why they're bringing in the Haitians. The people that are in charge are going, wow, what can we do now to really screw up America? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Haitians. Oh, yes. Yes, Moshe. Right. Haitians, you're right. They are just the worst, lowest form of humanity on the planet, and we bring in a couple of million of them. The Americans will be so busy chasing after their cats and dogs, they'll never think to oppose the government. Oh, okay, whatever. We know this. It's getting ridiculous. I have an adopted granddaughter, 6 years old, Iris, cute as a button, and her brother was 7 years old, Odin, and I love them to death. Now, if one of these immigrants were to hurt those kids, yeah, I would go full vigilante. I'm old now. I don't care, Jeff, but I would not only hunt them down and kill. I'd probably hunt down every Nigerian and Somalian and Haitian in the town, and I'd them too. Look, I know this sounds terrible, but what do you think is going to solve this? This can't be solved with.
There's no resolution short of something like that. There isn't.
Exactly.
You're not going to vote that out. For God's sakes,
No.
we have utter treason being committed against Americans every day by their alleged government, nonstop.
Yep. Every
and
day.
Nothing is being done about it. Nothing can be done about it.
Nothing can be done about it. I mean, and you can't give them enough money, even if they were to vote through the reparations and all that kind of nonsense, and you give every one of them $10 million. Well, in a month it would all be back to normal again. You know, it would be the same
that's
crap.
Correct. Yep.
You can't give them enough money. You can't do enough for them. They will never fit into our society because white people are different. They're not like us. Now, listen, I've had a couple of black friends in my life. I thought they were good men. I hired 2 black men to teach for me at my martial arts studio. And I liked them. They were good guys, you know. I even got their photos in Black Belt magazine. I used them as a model for a couple of articles I wrote. And,
you know what's funny, Stefan? Excuse me. My father created that magazine long
Black
ago.
Belt magazine?
In the early '60s, I think is when it first. Anyway, he created it. It's still around.
No
That's amazing.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I published about I think a dozen articles with them. I forget the editor's name, Robert something.
Anyway, go ahead.
But
Yeah,
no, that's interesting. Yeah, so I used to write for Black Belt magazine and also Inside Kung Fu magazine. what a name, Inside Kung Fu. So I like these 2 black guys, okay? But you know what? It's not worth the 2,000 subhumans that come with them. You know, there's a nice black guy. Yeah, there's a nice black guy, but there's 2,000 cousins. We don't need them here. So would I be willing to forego my friendship with the 2 black guys that I like in order to avoid the 20,000 Somalians and Haitians and all? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Okay. I'll do without the 2 good black guys if I can avoid the rest of the garbage. So anyways, I know I'm sounding really racist, but I have every right to be racist. I grew up in a white neighborhood. I saw what happened firsthand when the blacks moved in. I saw how the neighborhood deteriorated. I saw that huge spike in crime and the graffiti and the garbage and the violence and the drug dealing. And, you know, that old neighborhood, of course, I've moved away from there, probably 48 years ago. And now that neighborhood is like the highest crime neighborhood in all of Toronto, drive-by shootings all the time. Okay, whatever. So don't tell me anything about, that I'm a racist and all that. I've had 50 years of encounters with these people, and aside from the 2 encounters that were positive, all the rest were negative.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear it.
I'll
tell you right away that American blacks are beginning to speak out about some of the invader blacks. They get it, and unless they stand up and do something, they're going to be swept aside. They're losing all their handouts.
Well,
they're losing their social support. They're losing a lot to these people.
Yeah, they're starting to stand up because the new blacks are taking over their welfare and services.
Right.
So now they're standing up. Yeah, okay. But if they're, what can I say? What else is happening here in Canada? Well, the food banks are in crisis. They are now feeding here in Ontario 1 million people a year through the food banks, and they can't keep up with the demand.
1 million? Oh.
1 million.
How many of the million are invaders? Any idea?
No, of course not. We would never find an accurate...
No.
Yeah, they're not going to keep track of that. But we do know that they take advantage of everything. I mean, they get paid $48,000 a year, as opposed to my $7,000 a year pension. That's what I get. They're lining up at the food bank. Absolutely. They're going to take advantage of everything they can get. The good news is here where I live in the small town, our food bank because we still don't have enough invaders. The food bank is still doing okay the last time I checked. And we also have one of the local churches here. Now, I'm not a Christian, but I do admire when some churches do step up to the plate and do something for their communities. Most of them are just concerned about gathering their tithes. But the one church here in town, every Thursday they have a big dinner. I was there about 2 weeks ago. I could see that they fed about 150 people. And not only that, they give away food, so it seconds as a food bank. Once a week, they have all this food on the back of the stage there because it's in a church basement that has a stage, for performances. And they even come by with trolleys by your table and say, what do you need? You got bread? Here's some bread. Here's some frozen chicken wings. Here's some cans of peas. And so they actually bring you the food to your table and let you choose what you want to take home with you. So I'm very proud of them for that. Good for that church to actually do something like that. So we because it's a small town and it's all white and people are generous, white people are generous. They give and give and give, always giving to others. So our food banks are okay, but the rest of the province is collapsing under the demand. But, this is because we're living in the Great Depression. I don't know what people don't understand about the Great Depression. We've been in a depression, in my opinion, for the last 10 years. Unless you want to believe the government statistics on unemployment and quarterly growth, which I don't believe.
One word do you believe?
Not one word.
Nothing.
But when you got 30 million people sleeping in parks, tell me that's not a depression, right?
Right.
So,
of course it is.
So, typical Depression era events. The food banks are running out of food. Of course, the government doesn't do anything. Government doesn't pay for food banks. It's all donations by, well-meaning white people, and they support all these food banks. Now, with the food bank here in town, you can only go once a month. And you're not going to get a month's worth of food in one visit, so it helps, but it doesn't replace. It doesn't feed you for the whole month. And then
so who's bankrolling this? The church? That's it? Is it getting any other?
The church is bankroll.
Okay.
Well, they have sponsors, right? So they have a big sign up. These are the people that are supporting us, sponsoring us, and it's the local, little grocery store, and some of the other local businesses that will donate food to them. At the little grocery store, I don't know if it's everywhere, but here they always have a basket just near the exit with a sign saying "Donate for the food bank." And so, if you go to the grocery store, pick up an extra can of tuna and drop it in the basket for the food bank or for the church. So it's all locally funded. The food bank is run by the Salvation Army, and it's all volunteers. I know these women. It's sad, they spend their time and they don't get paid for it. They don't get anything for it, and they do a lot of work to help others. But again, that's because it's a small town and because it's still 98% white. Now, I am seeing, when I first moved here, I never saw one black person, not one Pajit or anything like that. But now I'm starting to see one or two blacks every day, and it's making me nervous. It's like a cancer cell.
Do they appear to be indigenous or externally planted into your society?
Externally planted, of course. There is no indigenous blacks in Canada. Look, we were at the end of the Underground Railroad back in the 1850s, 60s. We were the end stop for the Underground Railroad. So a lot of them came up Ohio, came across the lake and into Ontario, and then for some reason they all went to the East Coast, mostly Halifax. We did have some blacks passing through here, but that was over 100 years ago. And the ones that ended up settling on the East Coast in Halifax. And, of course, Halifax is a high-crime shithole now. But, they're all implanted. The other problem we have here is the Indians, the Hindustanis, the Pajeets. They're coming in by the millions. Oh,
what does
my God,
Pajeet mean? What does it mean? Is it a derogatory term for masses of Indians? What is it? What does it mean?
I think so. I don't know exactly what it means. I can Google it. But that's what the guys on Red Ice Radio refer to them as, and I think it's a good word for them, Pajeets. They're here by the millions. They've taken over whole cities now. We have whole cities that are like 95% Hindus. You might have seen pictures. They're building giant statues of monkey gods.
Wow. Good luck.
Yeah, that's just, 2-hour drive from it. Giant monkey gods.
Right.
But the other problem is, though, they're shitting all over the beaches.
Yeah.
People are complaining. They go to the beach. They bring their family to the beach, and we've got some nice beaches here. They're on the lake. They're not on an ocean, but clean sand, clean water. The Great Lakes are fairly clean. You're safe to swim in them. You can't drink directly out of it, but you're safe to swim in them. And my Dixie said, well, the other day I took the kids to the beach. I said, oh, which beach was that? She said, oh, Port Dover. I said, where's that? She says, oh, just south of Grand Bend. And I said, oh, Grand Bend. I love Grand Bend because Grand Bend is the only beach town in Canada that I've ever seen that looks exactly like a beach town in California. So when I go to Grand Bend, it's like being back in California. They got a little main street there with all these colorful shops that sell swimsuits and inflatable toys and, the usual kitsch that you get at the little beach towns, right? She says, well, you won't like Grand Bend now. I said, what do you mean I won't like Grand Bend now? She said, when was the last time you were there? I said, well, to be honest, probably 25 years ago. She says, no, you won't like it now. I said, why not? She says, it's full of Pajeets, and they're shitting all over the beach. Okay.
Well, you can't take second and third world out of people. You can take them out of the second and third world, but they're going to bring it right with them. They always do.
Yeah. So, that's what's happening up here. We're being flooded by mostly right now Indians, and then second is probably the Muslims, and then third is we're going to be getting the Haitians very soon too, I'm sure. So, but wherever they go, they destroy it. The small town, if you're living in a big city, they'll destroy the neighborhood that you move into. Right. I've seen it with my own eyes, the garbage, the dirt, the violence, the crime. Suddenly all the little shops have to have bars on the windows. And I don't know where this is going to end. Like I said earlier, I was talking to somebody. They said, well, what can we do? I said, there's only one thing you can do, and that is, like Switzerland, issue every natural-born Canadian that doesn't have a criminal record with a assault rifle and tell them it's open season. They'll all leave in a month. They'll be gone in a month. But if you think there's any kind of solution other than that, no. And if we don't resort to that solution, then that is the death of the white race. That's all there's to it. It's a life or death battle now. Either you start to get rough and tough in handling these people, or we will die. I'm reminded of a story that this guy who used to live in China told. He was from South Africa, and he told this story about he lived in South Africa. His father ran a lawn business, and they had quite a few blacks to work for them. And anyways, they got a home invasion. The blacks tried to rape his mother. They tried to shoot him, but the gun misfired. Anyways, they wanted to find out who these people were, and they said, well, you can't go to the police. The police won't do anything. Oh, that's a surprise. Are the police doing anything there? They're not doing anything here. Oh, wait a minute, they are doing something here. They're arresting grandmothers with squirt guns, so good for the police. So you can't go to the police. He said, we had to hire a private security company. And so this private security company pulls up in a van. They line up all the employees and a bunch of big burly guys, and he says, then this giant black woman comes out of the van, and she's got this 8-foot-long leather whip.
Oh, really?
And what?
Okay.
Yeah, and what they
cameras
do...
Cameras out, right? Get
but
ready.
It's a private security company, South Africa.
I hear you. Yeah.
And they're all blacks. So this black woman takes out the whip and starts beating the living shit out of them, and, well, then they confessed. But you got to understand, they don't understand anything but violence. You can't negotiate with them. You can't reason with them. You can't offer them a little extra money or something like that. The only thing they understand is absolute violence. And he said the reason it was a woman was because it was an extra insult to be beaten by a woman. So this is how they handle things in Africa, okay? They don't call the cops. They get a bunch of guys over there. They beat the living shit out of them, and that's it. That's how it's done. That's what they understand. But here, we're the white people, and, you know, if they murder your 10-year-old boy, you just say, oh, I'm so sorry for the hatred being directed at the migrants. I wish it was a white guy that killed my son. Disgusting. That guy is absolutely horrible. What? A white guy?
Yep.
You know?
Yep. So what are your people saying in the community? What's going on there? What is the general sense? Are they ramping? What stage preparedness are they now? 1, 2, or 3? What are they? DEFCON 1, DEFCON 2, DEFCON 3? How prepared? How worried are they? 2. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a little bit strange for the summer, Jeff. Because there hasn't seemed to be any, false flag attacks to get everybody scared, and because the whole phony pandemic has kind of died down, people have dropped their guard a little bit, and I'm a little bit concerned about that. We're having some people move away from the community. We have a couple that are moving.
Where are they going?
Too.
Most people ask, where should we go? Where should we go? Where are they going?
Well, these guys,
I don't need these specific names, just generally. Where are they going?
Well, they're going up north to unincorporated townships.
Further north, okay.
Yeah, further north. And they're going completely off-grid. We lost some members to another community, but this is okay because, listen, all these communities, we are still in touch with each other, and we can still cooperate with each other. So if you leave our community here and you join the community, half an hour down the road, well, that's fine. We don't see you at our meetings every week, but we know you're there, and you know us, and we know you, and we can still cooperate. We lost a few to a church group. Now, one of the churches here, the parishioners kicked in money, and they bought a farm. And now the church parishioners run the farm. So they're almost completely self-sufficient to have a large farm just for the parishioners. And so we lost some of our members to that community, but that's okay because they were older members. And I remember thinking, I told them at one of the meetings, I said, can we get some more young blood in here? Because every time I come to a meeting, I feel like I'm stepping into the set of the Golden Girls.
Cute.
Yeah. Well, listen, you and I are getting old too, Jeff, but you know what? We're not people to be messed with.
Think of it as getting to be wiser. We're learning more.
Yeah.
We're synthesizing all the data, and that should equate to wisdom at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're down to about 70 members from 100. That's okay. That's okay. 100 is a little bit too much anyways. I can't remember the names of everybody when they show up anyways. And according to my research and my writings, my book, I peg the ideal size for a community at being about 50 people. So that way you're able to get to know each other. When it gets bigger than that, you recognize their face at the meeting, but I don't really know anything about them. But with 50 people, then, and again, getting to know each other, especially on a personal basis, is really key for group solidarity. So that's okay. I don't know if people, like you and I have talked about this, Jeff, we know what's coming. We know it's going to be a lot worse than what we're experiencing right now.
Unfortunately, correct. Yeah,
I
that's
heard
the plan, though. It's all by the plan.
We started. All according to plan. Yeah. What you said earlier about they're instigating this war with Russia. Well, of course, that's what Albert Pike wrote. The Mason that wrote the book, I forget the name of the book, but he said, there's going to be 3 world wars. They've been planning this for 150 years. Of course there's going to be 3 world wars. And everything that we see, and when this whole Ukrainian nonsense started, I went, that's the fuse. That's the fuse they're going to light to start the 3rd World War. So it's coming. It's coming. I just hope we can avoid too many nuclear strikes in the continental U.S. We'll probably get a couple. But
I would think so. I don't think it's going to be a massive exchange. There's no reason in that because the entire northern hemisphere will be annihilated. I think it'll be a strategical strike, kind of a war, trying to say, all right, well, here's this, 5 or 6. Have you had enough? You want to stop now? Nope. Maybe we'll respond with 7 or 8. I don't know. I don't think it'll escalate to the point where there's nothing left. To the victor go the spoils. So. When there's no spoils, what the hell's the point? So,
No, I think there might be, maybe a half dozen at the most strikes at strategic cities.
Right. Well, that's kind of a pragmatic approach. I agree.
Yeah. Nobody's going to shed a tear if they nuke Philadelphia or New York.
There's several other cities you can say that about, too. Another bulletin here. Apparently, Russian diplomat families have now left the United States.
Not good. Not good.
No.
Folks, get ready. Get ready, all of Jeff's listeners. When you can, buy a little bit of extra ammunition. Not just because when this does kick off, and we've talked about this before, the fact that like 90% of these immigrants are fighting age men. And I guarantee you there are stockpiles of weapons in warehouses scattered throughout the United States.
Yeah.
And when they get the phone call on the phones, on their cell phones, smartphones that Jeff Rent's paid for, telling them which warehouse to go to and what the combination lock is, and they're going to go there and pull out the weapons. So if we do get a couple of nuclear strikes, well, now we're in war, and everybody's going to panic and freak out. And then we have the invaders coming out of the warehouses, well-armed, just to wreak havoc, right? Just general chaos. Look, the Mongols did that. The Mongols...
Would these 65 IQ third worlders have any problem shooting Americans and massacring them and stealing their homes and everything else? Hell no.
Yeah, and
that's
probably eating them afterwards, too. You don't know.
No doubt. That'll happen. You can count on that. That'll happen.
Yeah. So that's what we're facing, folks. So you need to be armed and have enough ammunition. Not that you're going to fight in World War III, but if World War III breaks out, that would be the perfect time to unleash the migrant hordes, and they're the ones you're going to have to fight. But the good news is they're cowards, and they got 65 IQ. But of course, the people that planned all this, they don't care. They don't care if all these people get murdered by well-armed Americans. as long as they cause a lot of trouble. And they will cause a lot of trouble. So, buy some extra tuna. A friend of mine just sent me 6 cases of canned salmon. Wow, I got enough protein to last me almost a year now. And so that's what we got to do, folks. Continue prepping. I'm getting better, Jeff. I'm training more. I'm doing my bicycle ride almost every day.
You sound good. No, your voice sounds solid again. You were sick for a while. You went through some real difficult times, but now you sound good. This is good.
Yeah, look, I got to get back to my fighting weight, and so I'm doing the weight training. I'm doing the bicycle rides. I'm doing the forms.
Good for you.
Yeah, almost every day I do that bicycle ride, and I can get up the hill now without, losing my breath or having to sit down for a rest. So it's getting better all the time. So same thing for the listeners. Start to get into shape. When something like World War III breaks out, it's you're going to be doing a lot of walking, a lot of lifting, and a lot of carrying. That's what happens during these times. It's not that you can just load everything into the car. You might not have gas, and so you're going to have to carry things and bending over, picking things up, and that's exhausting. So camping is a good way to get ready for that, because camping is a lot of walking, picking up, and bending over. So
when we talk about firearms and weaponry, we should really be a little more specific. These are self-defense items. They're not offensive combat weapons. These are self-defense. Protect you, protect your family, protect those around you who you care about, who need protection, like children, etc. So that's what this is all about. It's defensive.
Yes, it is defensive. I don't have any assault rifles. I've got a shotgun, and that's for clearing the hallway.
That's fine.
And a couple of pistols and a .22 rifle. So I'm good. That's enough for me. Would I like an AR-15? Yes, I would. I can't afford that right now. There's like $2,000 up here for an AR-15 more.
That's a lot.
Shit.
Well, what's interesting, I just saw a story about a new .22 long rifle round that is apparently very high velocity, and it's not as much. .223, 5.56 is .22 caliber. It's the same thing.
That's right.
Just got a tremendous charge of powder behind it. But they made a new .22 long rifle round that, if I read a real story, and I did read it, is much higher velocity than the norm. So that would do a lot of damage. So .22 is not out of the question. Not at all.
Yeah, no, 22s are fine. From what I read, .22 is the most common caliber found in murders. So more people die from being shot with a .22
that's interesting.
than any other caliber. Now, I read that story about 15 years ago, so maybe things have changed, but for the longest time, more people died from a .22. And a .22 caliber bullet will kill you at any distance. They did these, gelatin tests, and then 3/4 inch plywood is apparently the standard for a fatal wound that is used by the U.S. military. So they set up, 3/4 inch plywood at 1,000 yards. You could hardly see the thing, and they shot
1,000 yards.
Yeah.
1,000? All right.
Yes, a kilometer.
Wow.
They could hardly even see it. So the guy had to aim way high and all that. Well, they worked up to it. They went, 200 yards, 500 yards. Let's try 1,000 yards. And even at that range, a .22 caliber bullet will penetrate 3/4 inch plywood and come out the other end, which means that's a fatal wound. Now the thing is, you couldn't hit anything at 1,000 yards with a .22, unless it was like a 4x8 sheet of plywood.
You have to be real lucky.
Yeah, unless you're really lucky. But the thing is, that will kill you anyways. If you shoot somebody with that, that's going to be a potentially fatal wound. So .22 is nothing to sneeze at. And, I know all the gun nuts like their big .45 caliber.
Just think of .22 as a very low-powered .223. That's just pretty much what it is. And if you get a hollow point, you can do, you know, make a mess of something. Not good.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're talking about defense here. Go ahead.
Well, this is about defense because we're in danger from these invaders. I mean, even if we don't go into World War III, which, Jeff, you and I know we're going there. They planned this already 150 years ago, and all the signs point to this escalating with that little Jew asshole there in Ukraine, Zelensky.
Yeah.
And, of course, all the Jew assholes in our government, your government, they're all pushing for it. So
seems to be their agenda,
going.
For sure.
That's
all right, we're running
agenda.
over here. Go ahead and wrap her up in 30 seconds. We got to get out of here.
Okay. So. Well, folks, just get ready. And firearms are for defensive purposes, which you will probably need. Remember, it's not just you. Think of the kids around you and the families.
Right.
We've got a lot of families, a lot of children around here. If this is going down, I'm going to make sure that those kids are as safe as I can possibly make them. And especially my adopted kids that live 5 minutes away from me. So
that's nice.
That's all I can think of, Jeff.
Very good. That's fine.
For now,
all right, Stefan, thank you. We'll talk to you next month, and take good care. Keep on that path you're on. You're doing the right thing. Never too late to get back in shape. All right. Okay, my friend.
And I'll send you an invoice for the cane.
Fine. You bet. Very good. We'll take care of it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Be well.
Bye,
Be safe. Okay. All right, Stefan Verstappen, and we will say good night and take care. Have a good weekend, and we'll be back with you Monday. In the meantime, the network will be continually running our programs all weekend for you. So listen and learn. Talk soon. Take care.
Warning, our neurosensors have detected subversive thoughts. We will now activate our 5G control towers and erase the last 42 minutes of your memory. Stand by.